All right. So probability, like so many things you do, it is very basic. Probability is a fraction. Um, so I'm going to first, how I explain this is not going to sound like it makes sense at first. And then when I give examples, I hope it makes you go, oh, wow, that does make sense. So probability is a fraction. It's the number of things we are interested in over the total number of things possible. So let's take the most simple probability ever. Let's say we've got a coin. So we've got a coin with heads and tails. Heads and tails. Now, what is the now, how can we write this right in this way? Like, let's say about heads. Well, we can write it as one because one of them is the thing we're interested in. Like, there's one side that's a head, so we'd write one on top. That's what we're interested in. And there's a total of two sides of the coin. So the probability is 1/2 or 1/2. You also say probability is a decimal. You can say it is a percent because we know percents, decimals, fractions, they all go in between each other. So um, let's do another probability. Now let's say we've got a coin and we want to know what's the probability that it'll land on tails. Well, there's one tail and there's two possible things that can happen. It could be heads or tail. So it would be 1/2. Now let's say we have a coin. What's the probability um it lands on um one of the sides? One of the sides. Well, there are two sides, the two total sides, and we just want the probability it's going to land on one of those. So a head and a tail, 1, 2. There are two. So the probability is 2/2. The probability is 1, or we can say the probability is 100%. It's sure to happen. Now, what's the probability with a coin? The probability it lands on shoulders. Now, you might ask, where are the shoulders on a coin? Well, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Shouldn't there be like heads and tails? It should be shoulders. There's not. So there are two sides it can land on, and neither of them are shoulders. So the probability is 0%. So that's a coin. That's the most basic way you can talk about probability. Let's talk about a dice now. What is the probability? And we're going to do a normal dice. You land on a 6. Well, there are 6 total sides, and there is one side with a 6, so it would be a 1. So here's my question for you now, the problem for you to work out. What is the probability land on a 4? So what is the probability the dice will land on a 4? Now I want you to tell me that. All right, I got one answer. See some more answers in the chat. What's the probability it will land on a 4? Well, how many sides are there on a dice? There's the one side, there's the two side, there's 1, 2, 3, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we've got 6 sides here. So one of those is a 4. So the probability is 1/6 because one of the possibilities is a 4 and there are 6 sides to the dice. So now what about land on a 2? What's the probability? Let's see you try that one in the chat. What is the probability the dice will land on a 2? Yep, we're getting it now. I see 1/6, 1/6. That's good. Yep, it'd be the same thing. Yeah, it's 1/6. I don't do trick questions. If it seems like it's repeating, it's just because I want to make sure we solidify the understanding. Now let's talk about the probability that it lands on a 2 or a 3. Now all of a sudden, this dice can land on a 2 or a 3. So there are 6 sides, and it could be either a 2 or a 3. So there are 2 possibilities. And if you simplify that, it's 1/3. Now I'm going to ask you, what is the probability the dice lands on a number that is 4 or higher? What is the probability the dice lands on a number that is 4 or higher? Now that's me asking you. Yep. All right, I'm getting all kinds of answers here. Now let's think about the dice. I'm going to draw the dice sides again. Actually, let me see if I can be really cool and try to let me try something. Oh yeah, that's really cool. Give me a second. Wow, look at that. I just brought my dice down here. I'm going to defeat these, or delete, not defeat, delete these. All right. Now you see my dice. Now, how many numbers are 4 or higher? There's 1, 2, 3 that are 4 or higher. So there are 6 total possible sides, and 3 of them are 4 or higher. So that simplifies to 1/2. Does that make sense? All right. Now let's look at, I'm going to ask some more dice problems. I think these are good. What about the possibility it lands on, okay, someone said they don't understand the simplify part. So if you have 3/6, you can divide the top by 3 and the bottom by 3, and that equals 1/2. Because you can divide the top and bottom by the same number, you can simplify it to 1/2. So now what about the possibility the dice lands on a number 5 or lower? What is the possibility the dice lands on a number 5 or lower? Try that one out. All right, we're getting it. We're getting it. I see 2 correct answers in the chat. Let's see if we have any more. All right, let's put this one here. All right. So 5 or lower. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them are lower than 5. So it would be 5 over 6 because there are 6 possible. All right. 5 over 6. Is this crazy? Are we okay with it? I want to give you one more dice problem if that's okay. This next one I want to give you is what is the possibility it lands on an even number? Lands on an even number. All right. Try that one out. I want to know what the possibility it lands on an even number is. All right, let's see what kind of answers we have. We've got some right answers coming in. No, that's good. That's good. That's good. So the even numbers are 2, are 4, and 6. So there are 6 possible. And there are 3 dice. So it's 3 over 6 or 1 over 2. All right, so great job. We're going to advance up. We're going to move from dice to marbles. All right. I'm going to have a bag. We're about to see my drawing skills. I'm going to have a bag of marbles. And in this bag, I'm going to have 4 green marbles. So lucky for you, I can draw in color. I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 green marbles. I'm also going to have 5 blue marbles. So I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I'm going to have 1 red marble and 10 yellow marbles. So let's draw our 1 red. Here you go. Don't get too used. Oh, that's not red. Got to erase that. That's against the rules. Our 1 red marble. And now let's do our 10 yellow marbles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, when you draw this, your hand in the bag, you have an equal chance of picking any of the marbles. So let's say, what's the possibility that I'm going to draw one red marble out of the bag. Oh, let's go back to drawing in black. Well, how many red marbles are there? There's one red marble. And how many marbles total are there? There are 20. So there's a 1 in 20 chance. Now let's talk about the chance that I draw a green marble out. Well, there are 20 total marbles, and there are 4 green marbles. So my chance is 4 over 20. And if you simplify that, which you do that divide both by 4, you get 1 over 5. So now my question for you is, what is my chance of pulling out a yellow marble? What is my chance of pulling out a yellow marble? All right, I got lots of one. No, those are a different problem. All right, I'm getting some 1/2s. There are 10 marbles, 10 yellow marbles, and 20 marbles total. So I get 1 over 2. Now, finally, let's try blue marble. What's the chance of a blue marble? So you all tell me this. Got one answer in. Good. All right, I got some 1 over 4s. So there are 5 marbles, 20 possibility. We're going to get 1 over 4. All right, now I'm going to introduce some new concepts that are important. They're going to be probability and probability and probability or. And the rules are probability and you multiply, probability or you add. I want you to write that down like that in your notes. So I'm going to not talk for like 10 seconds. I want you to write that down for sure. This is a really important concept to get down solid. All right. Now, what does this mean? It means sometimes we won't just be talking about what's the probability of doing this. We'll be talking about two things. So we might say, what is the probability that I will make it to work and it will rain? So those are two different things. What is the probability of make it to work or it will rain? So when we want to know the probability of two things happening, if we want both of them to happen, that means an and. So I'm going to put both, and. And when we get that, we multiply those probabilities. When we want to know if both are going to happen, we multiply the probabilities. So we're multiplying fractions. We want to know the probability, or we add, because when it's or, we want to know the probability that either of them happens. All right. So let's talk about the probability of drawing a red or blue marble? Well, what is the chance of drawing a red marble? It's 1/20. What is the chance of drawing a blue marble? It is not 1/20, it's 5/20. Let me make sure blue is the one with 5. Yep. So for this, we add them. So we get 6/20, and we can simplify that by dividing by 2 to get 3/10. The probability of drawing a red or a blue marble is 3/10. Now let's say we get the probability of drawing a red and a blue marble. And an important assumption is we're going to draw the marble and then put it back in the bag. And why is that important? It's important because if you don't put the marble back in the bag, you're going to no longer have 20 marbles. You're going to have 19 marbles, so that will affect your probability. So the probability of drawing a red is 1/20. The probability of drawing a blue is 5/20. Now, since we're doing the probability and, we're going to multiply those probabilities. So we multiply and we get 5 over 400. Now, when we simplify that, we'll have to divide both by 5. And that's not easy to know what 400 divided by 5 is. Let's see. It's 80. So the probability of drawing a red marble and then drawing a blue marble is 1/8. That means it's not very likely at all. So let's try with these examples. I'm going to bring my marbles down. Give me a minute. I'll bring them down. All right. Delete this part. So now I'm going to ask you, what is the probability of drawing a green or yellow marble? What is the probability of drawing a green or a yellow marble? So why don't you try to figure this one out? All right, got all kinds of answers. All right. All right, let's work this. So probability of a green. Let's do the probability of a green is 4/10. Or sorry, 4/20. 4/20. Probability of a yellow is 10 over 20. So since we want to know the probability of one or the other, we can add them. We get 14 over 20, and that divides by 2 to 7 over 10. Now, what is the probability of drawing a green and a yellow marble? Probability of drawing a green and a yellow. Now, why don't you all try this one?
I believe that's the same thing.
Sorry?
I think you just like rewrote the same question.
No, I said green or yellow earlier. I just said green and a yellow marble now.
Oh, okay. Gosh, my bad.
No problem. All right, I got one answer so far. I'm going to give it a little longer. All right, let's do this. So probability of a green is 4 over 20. Probability of yellow is 10 over 20. Now we multiply. That's 40 over 400. 40 divided by 400. We can divide each by 4, and we get 10 over 100. And then we can divide these by 10, and we get 1 over 10. So 1 over 10 is the answer there. Now let's make it a little more complicated, and I'm going to bring my lovely marble bag down here again. All right, now we say and. Let's pretend we're not replacing it. So let's say, what is the probability of a yellow and a blue? Well, here, the probability of yellow is 10 over 20. But now we took a yellow out. Now we're not putting the yellow back in. So now the probability of a blue is 5 over 19. Do you see why it went to 19? We pulled a yellow out of the bag and now it's gone. So now there are only 19 options. How we were doing these problems earlier is we were assuming we put the marble back in the bag. Since we're not doing that, we now only have 19. So we get 50, and then 20 times 19 is going to be 380. So 50 over 380, we divide both of these by 10. We get 5 over 38. And I think that's as much as it can be simplified. Yeah, that's as much as it can be simplified. So now what about you do the probability? What probability of a red and a green? Why don't you figure this one out? What is the probability of a red and a green? So why don't you work on this one? This is the hardest one we're going to do with probability. And after this, we're going to switch to mean, median, mode, and range. So don't worry. Don't worry at all. All right, probability of a red and a green. And I'll leave this one for, I don't know, maybe a few more minutes. Like 2 minutes. All right, so probability of a red is 1 over 20. Okay, I'll wait. Someone wants me to hold up. So I'm holding up for you. All right. Yep. So someone asked how I got 19 on the other problem. I took a marble out of the bag and I didn't put it back in. So then there was one left over. Like there was not left over, there was one less in the bag. So probability of a red. We're gonna pull out a red. That's going to be 1 over 20. Now there are 4 greens. Is that right? 4. Make sure. Yep, 4 greens. And when I pull one out, I don't get it back. So now we've got 19. So we have 4 over 380. Now we can divide, let's see if 380 divides by 4. 4 goes into 38. I should know that. 8, 9 times 36. 4 goes in 20, 95 times. So you can divide both by 4. And you get 1 over 95. So good job. There's someone here that got that really quickly. So it's 1 over 95. So that's probability. I know that's like really only 2 concepts that we did. 3, we did what is probability overall. Then we did probability and probability or. So those 3 things, if you can get those, you'll be chill. So now let's talk about mean, median. Why is this writing like cursive? Mode and range. All right. So first I'm going to define all these things. So I'd write these down. The mean equals the average. So that is equal to the sum of numbers, and sum means total. Sum of numbers, and you can call that the total. And then the number of things, or number of numbers. I'm going to say number of numbers. Numbers, not spelling well. Number of numbers. One way to remember this is the mean teacher averages my grade. So what is the median? The median is the middle number. What is the mode? The mode is the most common number. And what is the range? That is the biggest number minus the smallest number. All righty. That is the range. So let's do an example set of numbers. And if you ever see numbers with these Batman wing things, that just means it's a group of numbers they want to keep together. That's how numbers tell each other they love each other. So we've got 3, 1, 12, 5, 3. So first, let's find the mean. So the mean is going to be 3 plus 1 plus 12 plus 5 plus 3. And there are 5 numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we add these up, 3 plus 1 is 4. 12 plus 5 is 17. And then we got a 3. So 4 plus 17 plus 3. 17 and 3 is 20. Plus 4 is 24. So that is 24 over 5. Let's divide that. 25 goes into 24 4 times. 5 times 4 is 20. Decimal point, bring it down here. 5 goes into 40 8 times. So the mean is 4.8. That is the average or the mean. What is the median? Well, for the median, we've got to line those puppies up in order now. So 1, 3, 3, 5, 12. We line them up in order. Then we cross out the smallest, cross out the biggest, cross out the smallest, cross out the biggest left. So the median is 3. The mode. What number is most often? What number is most often? Well, what happens more here is 3. 3 happens the most. And finally, what is the range? the range is 12 minus 1 equals 11. So the hardest thing to solve on that is figuring out the mean or the average. So make sure you've got those written down. I'm going to give you a second to write those down. I want to make sure you've got that. All right, and then I'm going to give you a problem. Now for this set of numbers, I want you to find the mean, median, mode, and range. Jesus, 23, 19, 20, 23, 20, 23. So we have 15, 23, 19, 20, 23. So find the mean, median, mode, and range for me. So M, 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 R. Find those for me. And then when you get them, throw them in the chat. Lay it on me. All right, let's give me the mean, median, mode, and range. If you put your answers in the chat, tell me what it is when you tell me what number each is. All right, not seeing many answers in the chat. How are we doing? Actually, it might take a little bit to add those up, so that's fine. No stress.
Oh, do you want us to like say the answers right now?
Write them in the chat. I only have like 2 people in the chat, so I'm waiting.
Um,
I'm gonna give it 2 more minutes, or actually like a minute and a half. And then I'll work it out because I want to do 2 word problems. I know you all love getting practice with the word problems. 30 seconds. Alrighty, I'm gonna work it out. Let's get to it. All right. First, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually put them in order. So I'm gonna go 15, 19, 20, 23, 23. Now, let's talk about the mean. So let's add them up. 15 plus 19 is 34. 20 and 23 is 43. Then we got 23. So let's say 23 and 43 are 66. We've taken care of that, taken care of that. Now let's do 34 plus 66 is 100. So 100, and there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 100 divided by 5 is 20. So the mean is 20. The median is 20 as well. Let's look at the mode. The mode is 23. That shows up most often. And finally, let's look at the range. That is 23 minus 15 equals 8. So that's how you solve that one. Let's look at this problem. All right, so let's say I'm in history class. And I've been making these scores. I don't know why it copied those twice. Fix these. So I scored 80, 85, 88, 95 on my first history test. Now to get an A in the class, I need to get 90 or better, an average of 90. And I want an A for some reason. I really want that. So my average needs to be 90 on 5 tests. So for that to happen, I've scored an 80, an 85, an 88, and a 95. Now I've got one more test, and I don't know what I need to score on it, so I'm going to call it X. So let's multiply both sides by 5. So when we multiply it by 5, that goes away, and we get 450 because 90 times 5 is 450. Now let's add these up. 80, 85 is 5, 16, carry the 1. Now let's add the 88 to that. That's 13, carry the 1. That's 15, carry the 1, 253. Let's add 95. 3 plus 5 is 8. 5 plus 4 is 14. 348. So right now we have 348 plus X. So we need to subtract 348 from both sides, and we'll find out what X is, the one we've got that I need to score. 2. Oh dear. Let me erase that. So 2, 5, then this becomes a 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. Then 4 minus 3 is 1. So I need to score a 102 on this test to average a 90 in the class. That's going to be really hard to do. Let's see if you all can. This will be our last thing for tonight. Let's try this one. I'm not going to give you much time because I think this one might be a little too much, this problem. And I want to make sure I give you time. I don't know why it's doing it like this. A cricketer, so let's say a baseball player, because cricket is from like the United Kingdom, has a mean score of 58 runs in 9 innings. Find out how many runs are to be scored by him in the 10th inning to raise his mean score to 61. I'll give you a minute to work to start this one. All right, so if the mean score is 58 in 9 innings, 58 equals some number in 9 innings. So that's how many runs the cricketer scores. So let's first figure out how many runs they score in 9 innings. So 58 times 9, that's 72. Carry the 7. 5 times 9 is 45, plus 7 is 52. 522. So they score 522 here. Now they want to get a score of 61 in 10. So let's see what 61 times 10 is. 61 times 10 is going to be 610. Now it needs to score a total of 610. Now they've already scored 522. So we can say 610 minus 522. 10. So they need to score 88. All right. So there is our class for today. You've got 2 quizzes this week. You have probability and you have mean, median, mode, and range. Work hard at that. Next week is our very last class, and then you're like, go take the ASVAB and succeed. We'll have you do some testing to see how you're doing on like some post testing. But let's go get it. You're going to start having practice tests on your homework. I really, really want you to do these because they'll tell us how well you're doing and how prepared you are to take the ASVAB. So good work. Thanks for coming, everyone.